All right, let's go.
It's good morning, Sarah Howard. Thank you for joining us at Yellow Shelf.
Thank you so much, Jo. I'm so excited to be here with your audience. Thanks for
We've
everyone else for having me.
look, we've just had a pre-chat, so I feel like we're already into it. But let's dive in. Your new book, Beyond Solo, it came out on
Mm.
the 1st of March.
Thank you so
Congratulations.
much. Thank
Oh,
you. It's so exciting to have your
yeah.
first book and to actually hold it. It's incredible. Yeah.
And look, I was just sharing. I feel like the book could have well been written for me and my journey with Yellow Shelf, but I want to hear from you. Tell us all about the book. What do we need to know?
All right. Well, the book is called Beyond Solo. I'll show it to you again. It's actually the guide to all the different paths to business growth. When you're a solopreneur, you might be a freelancer, you might be a consultant, you might be a company of one, typically in a knowledge based industry where time is a constraint. And I think there's a lot of people out there like that. In fact, 14% of Australia's working population fall into that category. It's quite a significant number of people. And sometimes you get too busy, you get overwhelmed, especially if you're good at what you do, and you go, what do I do next? How do I grow? And the default is often to hire someone. But it turns out that's not the only way. And 18 years ago, I started my business, which is a copywriting agency called Writers. And I did exactly that. I got too busy. I hired someone, then I hired someone else, and so on. And I wanted to write a guide to all the other options, kind of like a signpost in the road saying, you could go this way or you could go this way. And you can design a business that works for you. Because too often I see, and myself, it falls into this category that a business owner is working every waking hour for it and it's not working for them anymore. So it's a book really to help you feel in control of your solo or small business again.
Yeah, and look, I do talk to loads of people who, are on a similar journey who feel like they're the only one or feel like even me, you feel like you've made the mistakes. You're the only one
Mm.
who's made the mistakes, or you're at the crossroad of decision time. Like it can be an incredibly challenging space. Sarah, I'd love to know about what inspired you to write the book. Like first time author you mentioned, like at what
Mm.
point was it, hey, I should write this in a book? And yeah, tell us
Yeah.
about that journey and what we need to know.
Yeah, well, I've always wanted to write a book. Like that's, the childhood fantasy, right?
Yes.
And I've been a writer, running an agency of writers in the corporate space for a long time. So, most of what I do in my work for the business is interview really smart leaders. I work with a lot of corporates about business growth, about leadership, about the future of work, about financial systems. And so all of these ideas I've collated along the way over 18 years, I've actually tested them. What works for a big bank or a big financial advisory group can also work for my tiny little business. And that's how I've grown is actually adopting some of those models. And so I share some of that in the book as well. It's a super practical book because I know I don't love reading business books that are full of lofty ideas that sound great and then you put it to one side and you forget all about it. There's heaps of templates and tools and all the things that I wished I'd had every time I went, how do I do this? Hopefully, the answer you'll find it in the book. In fact, one of the things I did was I interviewed about 24 people, other business founders and solopreneurs about what has worked for them and what hasn't. All the different models, collectives, cooperatives, people who've productized their businesses, created memberships, hybrid models. And I share all of those models and really unpack the systems behind them operationally in the book. But one of them said to me, Carolyn Lowton, who runs a beautiful marketing agency here in Sydney, she said, if I was starting again, I would work in an agency for 6 months just to learn what not to do and to borrow some of their best practices and processes and systems. And I'd like to think that this book would actually save you that 6 months. It's
Yeah.
all in there.
Um, and
But I will, sorry.
no,
Sorry.
keep going.
I did want to say one more thing on that in terms of what inspired me to write this book particularly was 2 years ago I was at a conference called the Content Bite Summit here in Sydney with a group of freelance writers, which was a beautiful, beautiful event. And so many of them came up to me when they realized I was running an agency to ask me, how did I know it was time to grow? What did I do? How did I actually do that? And I thought, oh, maybe there's a book in this. And so that's why I went away and spent a year talking to lots of other business owners because I certainly didn't have all the answers and then started to develop the systems that are in the book.
That's great. And tell us, I mean, this book is described as part memoir. Like it's part of that learning our own journey, isn't it? Like, and then paying it forward and sharing it in a book.
Yeah, it's funny actually. A few people have said that to me. It's probably because I'm genuinely honest in this book about my life and all the things that went up and down throughout it.
Yeah.
I think partly that's how I write.
Yeah.
I'm warts and all. But also I'm at a bit of a turning point in my business and in my life. You know, you talked to me about the transition period you're in. My kids have just left school. They're both at uni. You know, I'm starting this new chapter where I suddenly feel a lot more freedom away from the school run. I'm also in a position where I'm developing a succession plan strategy within my business, so I can see a path where I can gradually step back from the business I founded and pass the baton on to Nicola, my co-director, which is incredibly exciting and liberating. And I actually write about that in the book because I have a whole chapter on exit strategies, because I think too many small business owners start without the end in mind.
Yeah.
And if you can plan a little bit ahead, you can extract a lot more value from your business before you exit, and exit the way you want. Because I think, you know, too many small businesses just close,
Yes.
you know, and even worse, go insolvent.
Mm.
But so you have to be quite intentional about that. It doesn't just
Yeah.
get handed to you on a plate. And so I share some practical insights into what I've learned through that process and what you could do as well.
Yeah, look, and I'll just share. I know some really smart people said to me in the very early days of Yellow Shelf, "What's your exit strategy?" And I just remember thinking,
Mm.
what? I'm trying to create, I'm trying to discover. But yeah, that's always stuck with me too. So I love that.
You'll have to read the book, Jo.
Yeah, I will. Sarah, tell us, you've got a fabulous website, Instagram. How do you want us to connect with you? How do we connect with you and the book?
Yeah, brilliant. So I love connecting with people on LinkedIn. And so please find me on LinkedIn. I'm Sara Howard without an H, and my company's Writers. So you should be able to find me there. My Instagram account for my writing is Sara Howard underscore writes, I think, something like that. Anyway, so find me on Insta. Got lots of crazy photos on there. And also go to the website beyondsolo.co. I share lots of free resources on that website as well. You can buy the book there too. You can buy the book on Amazon. It's
Yeah.
probably easier. But yeah, do head to that website. I'm sharing, like, I've even got the most nerdy break even model spreadsheet on there. So if you want a template,
Yeah,
you will find
very
it there. And there's more
awesome.
coming.
I'm going to
So
go and
do
check that
check
one out.
it.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'll put all those socials pages that you mentioned in the show notes to make it really easy. Sarah, enjoy the journey of this book.
Thank you.
It is a huge milestone to write a book, particularly when it was a childhood goal. I think that's beautiful. Would you write another one? Like, I guess
Oh,
I'm going to be bold.
totally.
Yeah,
I haven't got the
awesome.
idea for it
No,
yet, but
no, that's
it'll come. I know I have absolutely loved the experience of
yeah.
writing this, and I think it was such a joy for me to write my own thing. I spend all day, every day writing to other people's
Others.
briefs, and for me to go, actually, I really care about this, and I'm yeah, so curious. I love talking to people. So it was a joy to write this book. I did not realize how much work comes after the writing of the book, but that's a whole other story. But no, I will definitely write another one if
Um,
people are willing to buy it.
So good. Well, people need to go out, check it out, buy it. And then when you write the next one, Sarah, you need to come back on Yellow Shelf because
I would love that.
I have loved it. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So thanks everyone for having
Cheers.
me.